I'm very intentional about who I'm speaking to, that I will speak at a level and then be intentional about creating some sort of obscurity in how I communicate to simplifying things. So, the 19-year-old life coach is like, oh shit, Dave Meltzer's a fucking genius. Since 1981, Justin has been producing world-class Bordeaux-style wines from Paso Robles on California's Central Coast. As the pioneer of Paso, Justin wines are what put Paso Robles on the winemaking map. The Justin team believes that wine should be exceptional from every angle, which is why their team uses boutique winemaking practices like hand harvesting and hand sorting. With a rich history of accolades, Justin produces exceptional wines and is proud to be America's #1 luxury Cabernet. Whether you're the first-time wine drinker or a wine aficionado, Justin has a wine for every celebration and occasion. Visit justinwine.com and enter promo code Playbook20 for 20% off your order. Justin offers the perfect holiday gifts for clients, colleagues, friends, or family. Be sure to check them out at justinwine.com to receive 20% off your order for a limited time and use the promo code Playbook20.
Before we dive in, I just want to ask you, because I know you have so much going on right now. What are you personally most excited about right now, Sharon?
I mean, I always love a new year, right? Like it just feels exciting to get a fresh start on things. And even if things look exactly the same in your life as they did 2 weeks ago, there's just something about the mindset shift that comes from, turning the page on the calendar that I find it like refreshing and exciting. I mean, 2025 is going to be hopefully a great year for all of us, and including me. I have a bunch of fun projects in the works. So I'm just excited to try new things. How about you? What are you excited about?
Yeah, beautiful. I agree with you. I know it's cliche, like a new year and so forth, but there's something about a new energy,
Yeah.
right? Like 2024 is now in the past, whether it was the most iconic year of your life or there were some things that you want to improve. And now it's almost like a blank canvas, and we can
Yeah.
create anything that we desire on 2025 and just taking the impact to the next level. Just got married a few months ago, so still riding high on that. So many things that I want to do, want to create it, and just something that I noticed is wisdom comes with, I think, life experience. So the older I get, or the more wisdom that I get, I guess you could say, the more that I can share. And so 1 year older, hopefully 1 year wiser, and I can share that. But Dave, how about you?
I always find it interesting because annual milestones, being from the sports and entertainment world, whether it was the Super Bowl, the Masters, the Kentucky Derby, the Breeders' Cup, the ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, Grammys that we were involved with, I had all these different annual events that created these quantitative trajectory points that I could actually see progress. And I think it's led to the daily type of activities that I have. But the most significant is the end of the year. I think as far as recollecting, remembering with my source, I like to take a quantitative analysis of the progress and then attribute it to the behaviors that I have. One of the most interesting things, since I'm the oldest by far here, about New Year's for me is that the significance when New Year's and Christmas fall on Wednesday, I find it has even a greater impact of a rejuvenation or of a fresh start or of a reflection point. Because sometimes when it falls closer to the weekends, it actually can have less of a significance in having that impact of being a fresh start, an opportunity, an option, a touch of favor for reminding, remembering, and reflecting with your source, whatever it is that's bigger than you. So this year, with the quarter of century 2025, with it falling on a Wednesday, it probably has had, first in a while, a greater significance and impact on, hey, you have all these tremendous options, opportunities, and touches of favor. Be grateful for them, but quantify your progress and try to improve on that progress by surrounding yourself with the right people and the right ideas and aligning the behaviors that you have next year to where you want to be or better with that wisdom, Craig, but also with faith to shorten the distance of resistance that so many of us put in front of us during the New Year's and other different annualized events. So super excited. Probably the most excited I've been for a new year is this year. So very, very exciting.
Awesome. Yeah, beautiful. So many places we could take this. Sharon, I was checking out a lot of your content, which I highly suggest everybody do immediately following this conversation. And a couple of nuggets that you dropped I thought would be cool to unpack today. One thing that I saw that you say is the fastest way to being right is to stop being wrong faster. And I just think it's so profound. I'd love for you to unpack that one.
I can't take credit for the sentiment. It comes from my friend Adam Grant, but I think it's true. It's applicable to all of us. All of us love being right. That feels good in the human mind, right? It's why we argue with people, because we really enjoy being correct. It just like pings all the little neurons in our brains of like, I like to be right. And it feels bad to be wrong. And some people they have varying levels of tolerance for being wrong, right? Some people you can see, like it makes them mad immediately. They have an explosive temper. If you try to accuse them or tell them that they're wrong about something. But I really love this idea of like reframing the conversation, that if you enjoy being right, the fastest way to start being right is to stop being wrong faster. But that requires a level of like intellectual humility. It requires the humility to say, you know what, I have been presented with new and better information. And I am actually going to think again, to borrow Adam Grant's phrase. I'm going to think again about how I was viewing XYZ situation. That's a big person who can do that. And often in sort of the public square, those people are criticized. They're flip-floppers. They're not consistent. They have, oh, you just change your mind any old time. We often criticize those people, right? When in reality, we should be applauding people who have the intellectual humility to say, I have learned. And as a consequence of my learning, I have gained in wisdom, and I'm changing my mind, and here's why. It doesn't mean changing your mind does not mean flip-flopping. You need to be able to support why you've changed your mind about something. You need to be able to say, I've rethought this based on this information. But I think it's a reframe that's absolutely worth considering. That if we want to be right, we have to stop being wrong faster.
Dave, this couldn't be more up your alley.
Yeah, well, my favorite quote last year was, "You're either humble or you're about to be." And
yeah.
and I've studied the reaction to fear. I stopped trying to figure out what I'm afraid of. I find it much easier with the instant and obvious behaviors of reacting to fear. One of those is the need to be right, the need to be offended. That is a sister of the need to be right,
Yes.
and the amount of energy that we waste in that. And so I love the aspect. I had a saying that nobody understood when I started to build my brand. I always said, I love hanging out with hypocrites. And people are like, what are you talking about? I said, I love hanging out with hypocrites because they have the most open mind, right? They say one thing and then they change their mind the next day. And then you call them a hypocrite. I call them open-minded. And I like hanging out with hypocrites, people that realize that they don't know what they don't know. One quick nuance, Craig, to add to it is when I started to understand that there's only two types of people with human nature. There's people that don't know what they don't know, and there's people that don't know what they don't know. The difference between those type of people that don't know what they don't know is there's ignorant people that admit, humble people that admit that they don't know what they don't know, and they're hypocrites and they're open-minded and they have a very quick need to learn. And then there's the arrogant people that don't know what they don't know, and they operate in fear. And I will add, Craig, I've told you this before, the most arrogant, ignorant people that we have to be afraid of are the people who love us the most, because our parents, our relatives, and our closest friends, they're going to give us advice as if they know, but it's really based off of fear because they don't want you to get hurt. They don't want you to, they want stable. So they're going to tell you, be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. They're going to give you advice based on fear. And that's the scariest one. The idiots on Instagram that, attack you, Craig, right? Those are ignorant, arrogant people that you don't have to worry about because they're obvious. But it's the people who love us the most in their ignorant arrogance that we have to be very scary of because they love us so much. They give us advice because they're afraid for us. So I think it's a nuance of humility in the need to be right that we have to look at and examine for our own progress.
I thought what you just said was really interesting, that we have this human need to be offended, like the need to be right and the need to be offended. And you can really see that on the interwebs today. That people are literally just scrolling and subconsciously they're looking for things to be offended about. They don't go on Instagram with the intention of like, what can I be offended by today? They probably couldn't verbalize that, but subconsciously they are scanning their environment for things to be offended by. It's the new like wolf in the distance. We no longer have the need to be afraid of being attacked by lions or wolves or whatever scary animal might imperil us. But the same that the human brain has not evolved fast enough to get rid of the need to be scared of something. And the new like scared of wolves in the distance, I think is this need to be offended. I need to be scared of other people. In the absence of hardship, I will invent hardship for myself because that is how our brains are hardwired.
Isn't that crazy? But thank you for identifying that. Um, yeah, there's got to be a better way, a different consciousness.
This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears and finding ways to overcome them because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. It's helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/playbook today to get a 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/playbook. Imagine starting a small business, your first customer, first hire, first real paycheck. But everything isn't just exciting, it's scary. That's where JustWorks come in, the all-in-one platform that supports small business growth. Access seamless tools that help with benefits, payroll, HR, and compliance with transparent pricing. It's time to make payroll painless. Run payroll in 90 seconds or less and automate payments so you can set it and forget it. Did you know in 2023 alone, they processed over 25.6 billion in trusted payroll customers? Don't worry about the paperwork piling up either. They take care of payroll tax documents and reporting to help you stay compliant. Visit justworks.com/podcast to join the thousands of small businesses that trust JustWorks to take care of payroll, benefits, compliance, and more. That's justworks.com/podcast.
I wanted to ask you, Sharon, when you were an undergrad, you had a download that you were supposed to be a teacher in some capacity. You're making a huge impact in the world right now. What was that download? I'm just curious. Is spirituality important to you? Was that intuition? What was that download that hit you?
I don't know how to describe it. I don't even have like good language for it. And it seems weird to talk about it, right? But it was a very distinctive moment that I've talked about a number of times in the past where I had gone into college with the intention of becoming a physician. I still find medicine very interesting. I feel like knowing myself better now, I'd be like, yeah, I probably would have been good at that. But I was sitting in an undergraduate class when the best way I can describe it, and again, I don't know how to use the right language for it, but the best way I can describe it was like this sort of knowing descended upon me. Some people might say it was like a message from above. I don't know what it was, but the message was that I was meant to be a teacher. And in that moment, I did not have a like, what? You spent all you're like cutting people up in cadaver labs. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like I didn't have these kind of that kind of like resistance to it. It was like, absolutely, that's correct. And I immediately changed my major, immediately just proceeded full tilt at becoming a teacher, which is what I did. And I taught in classrooms for a very long time. And now I'm still teaching, just in a different format. But it was a very singular experience. I can still see the room that I was sitting in. I can still see the people I was surrounded by, of like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And I know now that even though I probably would have been a good physician, that my part of my work on, my purpose on earth, or however you want to say it, is that I was meant to be a teacher.
Yeah, promoted and propelled, right, Dave?
Of course. And I love the idea. First of all, I want to tell you that you definitely have a career in, I love the different voices that you speak in.
Hey, I can do all kinds of accents
It's
and
so,
all kinds of
so good.
impressions.
What's that about? What's that about?
Hey, it's entertaining. It's entertaining 16-year-old boys, which both of you still are deep down inside, right? It's far more interesting to be like, hey, why are you out of your seat? Get back to your seat right now. That's way more interesting than like, why are you out of your seat right
Of
now?
course.
Right? Like one of those things creates a very different vibe than the other one does.
Yeah, sure. And if you throw a couple fart
Yeah,
jokes in there, Craig and I really
hey,
laugh hard.
totally.
um, I live my life in understanding channeling. In fact, when I speak, my PR guy, I'm like, I need a clock. You don't understand. I need a clock. He goes, oh, don't worry. I can hold up 5 minutes I'll give you a 5 minute one. I'm like,
No.
no, you don't understand. I'm channeling on stage. And when I'm connected to source, linear time means nothing. So when I come out of channeling, when I'm speaking, uh, I don't know if I've been on stage for 5 minutes or 5 hours. So if I can't see a clock to tell me you got 22 minutes left or 2 minutes left, I panic. In all of the relaxed, confident, comfortable energy that I'm supposed to have will dissipate and dissolve immediately. So being someone who studied quantum healing, theta energy, theta meditation, that when people see that shift in a paradigm, that when I'm channeling, all I'm doing is clearing what's interfering with me and my source, with me and the infinite, the Akashic records. I call it my cloud. We all have that. You can see with AI where the consciousness is going. In fact, I'm probably one of the few people that use AI to understand things in different consciousness. So I'll give a problem to AI and say, solve this as if I'm Einstein or Napoleon Hill or Dr. Wayne Dyer or Sadhguru, and I'll get to see a different consciousness about an issue, a challenge, a struggle, an idea, which allows me to advance my own expansion and transformation. But channeling, I believe everybody does it. I just think that most people interfere with it, and they definitely won't share like you and I do and Craig does the downloads that we get. I trace calligraphies every day to actually utilize a different quantum methodology in order to facilitate every day downloading the information from my sleep and transcending it through meditation into the next day to plateau and grow. So those people that think we're full of shit and woo-woo because we've channeled some download, maybe give it a different thought and a different perspective, because you can enhance your human experience with the downloaded my cloud information that we've gotten that is intellectual, intuitive, and inspired.
I think a lot of people just have different language for it, right? Like they don't use the language that you're using. They view it as, and I don't even know that I know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Like
Good.
I don't know. I mean, if that works for you, I mean, that's great. But a lot of people view it in different terms, and people historically have viewed it in different terms. People who have received messages from wherever, if they're
A calling.
intuition, or they believe that it's God, or they believe that, whatever language they want to use for it. um Humans have always had those experiences, but I think in the modern tech era, we're like, and then I use the AI for the consciousness, and like, to a lot of people in the past, that would be like, you are bananas. And I don't mean that in any offensive sense. I'm just saying, like, humans have not understood what it is that you're saying. And I think a lot of people still don't understand what you're saying. They just have different language for it. They believe that they're talking to God, or they believe that whatever their conceptualization of God is speaking to them, telling them what they're supposed to do. That's what they don't call it meditation. They call it prayer, like, so I don't know what I'm adding to this conversation,
A
other than
lot.
like, wow, I don't know what you're talking about, but that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it is, right? Like people get callings, God speaks to them and they're burning bushes. And it's interesting because I think you bring up another great point that we are all at a different frequency and utilize different vernacular in different ways to describe things. And I think in understanding branding and building a community, that you can actually be intentional about the level of frequency or vernacular vocabulary that you use so that you are attracting or building a community of people that communicate at the same
Yeah.
frequency or vibration, and be able to do that. So, and I think that's important. That's why some people aren't successful on TikTok or on LinkedIn or on Instagram, because they all have a different frequency. And, luckily, I'm very intentional about determined upon where and who I'm speaking to, that I will speak at a level, and this as a teacher, to meet people where their feet are, and then be intentional about either, creating some sort of obscurity in how I communicate to simplifying things. So, the 19-year-old life coach is like, oh shit, Dave Meltzer's a fucking genius. That's amazing.
I totally agree that meeting people where they are is really important. And when you use language, it totally attracts different audiences. Your use of language does, and
And
perhaps,
accents.
and your accents. And what are you doing right now? The voices you use make a difference. Okay, people like it or they don't. It is what it is. My mom is from Southern California, and when she moved to Minnesota, everybody was like, "Oh, for cute." She's like, "What does that even mean? What is for cute? Like,
Yeah.
what's a for cute? I don't know what that means." Um, like, I need like how to speak Minnesotan book. Um, but I totally agree with you that how you speak attracts different kinds of people, right? The crypto dudes with the podcasts on the YouTube are speaking a different language than somebody like me here on the gram of Insta. I attract a different audience than those people. And again, that's not saying that they shouldn't have an audience or that my audience is better. But our use of language absolutely does impact who we attract, and who we attract impacts the kind of work we're doing in the world.
Beautiful. This is awesome. I'll land the plane with a final nugget. And oh, by the way, I want to encourage everybody to grab Sharon's book. It's killing it, and it's a huge ripple effect.
Hold it up.
I
Hold
don't
it
have
up.
it in front of me, but
Uh,
she probably.
Mine is it's out of reach. It's
oh
out of
no.
range. It's okay.
But we'll put all that in the show notes. I saw you say this. I don't know if this was your quote or you just liked it, but that most progress requires a significant amount of struggle.
Hmm.
You believe that's true?
Yeah. Yeah, that's my those are my thoughts, but it's not I'm not the only person to have had those thoughts, that any amount of progress requires struggle, right? What we do with the struggle, it determines what kind of progress we're going to have. But I think sometimes we feel like if it's hard, then it's wrong. Like, it's too hard for me. I can't do that. That's not right. I'm not supposed to be doing that thing. When in reality, progress is born of struggle.
Yeah.
Do you follow that?
Yeah. Look, I believe in using different words, as Sharon said, right? I believe life is omnipresent with pain. I believe struggle itself is a choice. I think pain creates interference between us and our potential, and that you need that pain. It's understanding what meaning we give to the pain. Is it one with wisdom and faith, of protection, promotion, love, and perfection? Or is it punishment? And those people that choose to give it the meaning of punishment are going to be punished. Those that give it a meaning of protection, promotion, perfection, and love, like Sharon does, is going to be given the protection, promotion, love, and perfection that is, as she states, required. And so, whether you call it struggle, interference, I just think that you need to understand that you give meaning to the pain that is omnipresent in our lives, and we can experience great expansion and growth from the pain. And the more we give it the meaning aligned with where we want to be or better, the better off we're going to be. And man, what a great way to finish and start a new year with Sharon. I got to delve deeper and can't wait to read your book. So, Sharon, what's the name of your book and where can people get it?
It's called The Small and the Mighty, 12 Unsung Americans Who Changed
Sounds like Craig.
So small. You guys wish you were as tall as me. I promise you're probably not. Okay,
We're
I'm
not.
taller than both of you. You
How
might
That's
be
tall
not
are you?
able
hard.
to lift more
That's
than
not
me,
hard.
Sharon, how
but I'm
tall are you?
probably taller than you.
Yeah,
You're
for sure.
jealous.
How
Be
How
tall
tall
are
are
jealous.
you?
you?
I am 6 feet tall.
Oh shit.
And
I'm 5'2".
yeah, okay. So I win. I'm the
I'm
winner.
kidding.
Um,
I should have married you. I could have changed my whole genetic tree.
all men who are under 6'3" overestimate their height. This is tall women all know this. Universally true. If you say you're 6 feet tall, you're not. You just prefer not. Okay. No shade. Just is what it is. I don't know what's going on up here, but it is. Anyway, the book has hit #1 on the New York Times. It's been on the bestseller list for 9 weeks. So fireworks for me. Thank you. I love it. I'm excited about it. It's been a real joy bringing this book baby into the world.
I just want to tell people out there, because I've written 8 books and have been involved in the difficult business of dealing with publishers. Um, there is still a difference, ladies and gentlemen, when someone's a New York Times bestseller. And I just want to recognize and acknowledge the true bestseller list, which is the New York Times bestseller list, because whether you bullshit yourself and say you're an Amazon bestseller, a Wall Street Journal bestseller, USA Today bestseller, those all can be purchased, but it is impossible this is the true credibility that exists. If anybody wants to know how to be on all the other bestseller lists, go ahead, email me. I'll be happy to tell you that scam. But I want to recognize a real New York Times bestseller. So, Sharon, congratulations. And I really want to put it out. Craigie Poo, I got to leave, man. Close us down.
Yeah. No, this was amazing. Sharon, can we do some more stuff with you? For our community that wants to go deeper besides the book, is there anything else that you're really pumped about, or where can they best support and follow along?
They can just go to my website, SharonMcMahon.com, where my podcast, Instagram, newsletter, all that is linked there.
Awesome. And Dave, where are you going to be traveling? Where can everyone find you?
I'll be on the Aspire Tour every month. We start in Atlanta next week. I'm keynoting at CES as well. Also in the studio at the Wynn, doing our podcast there in the lobby of the Wynn next week. And then the birthday bash as chairman of Napoleon Hill. So please, everybody, join us on January 11th. Sharon, we'll be inviting you, not obligating you, but inviting you to join our community, more podcasts, TV shows. The world needs more of you. And I love your adorable accents. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, my pleasure. Happy New Year to both of you.
Happy New Year.